Hey everybody, it's C with the Quest, ECSS or EndingChildSexSlavery.org. Anyway, um, wanted to bring you up to date. We've had several rescues that just seem to fall into place and we were able to take care of business. I wanted to go what the current situation is over there where we've been working. A lot of our contractors, over half of them, have taken on contracts in Afghanistan, and they're related in such a way that they are uh, there to assist Americans and also green card holders and people who put their life at risk in order to help us. So what's happening there is what, contrary to what you've been hearing, um, is that there's lots and lots of public hangings, beheadings, of course, as you would assume. Um, there's also been uh, what they do is they've got lists because we left them behind of those people who helped us and also of the families of Americans. And right now there's over 10,000, and that's confirmed. There may be more. Um, the the bad guys are going like door to door when they get these lists, and if there's a child 12 years old or older, they take them. And so a lot of our team is going after those kids and getting the kids and getting the parents. And that's a real complicated situation when you consider you can get the parents out, but you haven't got the kid yet, you know? And so there's a lot of drama in that situation. And so, but they're being very successful. The biggest problem that they're having over there is when you want to get them out, there's no assistance from the U.S. government. It's a complete lockdown of sorts. They're refusing to allow charity planes and things like that to extract these individuals that are stuck there. Anyone that is there and pleading to the U.S. government for help, they're being put off. They're saying, "Oh, thanks, we'll get your name on the list," sort of thing, and then or else after they've went through about 20 transfers, right? Um, if you're in that area, just try it for fun. You'll find out what I'm saying is the absolute truth. And so it's in a sense, it's like they're denying, our U.S. government is denying the ability for these people to get free. And so, and it doesn't take a whole lot of research. I don't do research for other people anymore. You can find it very easily if you just check it out. Let's see. Okay, so anyways, while they're tied up doing that work, and a lot of the pictures that you see about the airplanes and the military and the armor that we left there, yeah, that's coming from our people. So they're doing heroes work there too when they're not with us. So anyway, as far as getting back to what is on the table, is that we are our Asia is slowly opening up. One place yes and one place no, sort of thing that's been going on. Or once they open, then they close again, or they put more restrictions in, and it's a comedy show. It's total circus. And so anyway, one of the things I wanted to or I wanted to tell you what's been happening here. We have like at the end of October, we had a deal where we were preparing to do a rescue in the next few days on a brothel we had been watching. Recently, it had opened and seemed to be the only one in business in the region. While teammates were working their way to the location, we happened to get a call, and one of our insiders at the hospital informed us that they were expecting two girls from a brothel, which happened to be the one we were sitting on. And this meant that the two sick girls were with the recent conditions. They were there was nowhere to sell the girls or trade these girls, for other girls and things like that. That's what they try to do when they have a sick child. Or they call it product. They feed them so little, and they don't go get them drugs when they're sick or anything like that. If they don't get better, they just try to sell them first. And if they can't sell them, then they usually make a connection to take them to a hospital to be harvested. If you're new here, this is what happens when children get sick in a brothel. They are severely abused and fed as little as possible. When they get sick, they're not getting better. They trade them for something, or they sell them to another brothel. But when nobody buys, as I said, they send them to specific doctors to be harvested, and then the organs go to China. This is neither legal or illegal in areas that we are working. So nobody really cares as far as the government or anything else. It's all about money. And of course, again, if you've followed us, you know that women are secondary to men for several reasons. And it's just the culture. So anyway, so we would not wait on the rescue. We knew, you know, if we had enough teammates and volunteers to make it happen. Inside were 4 guards. As of now, we were watching for any movement to see if they planned to take the 2 girls to the hospital. If they did, we would have to intercept on the way. Hopefully, we would get to them before they were taken from the brothel. The brothel was located on a larger street, but in local areas. The street was dirt, but wide and with heavy traffic. There was only a front entrance, and there was not a way to make another exit. We did not expect a tunnel in this location. Still, it is possible. The local intel states there is none. At the front entrance, there would be a couple of guards, maybe a girl or 2. Inside, there would be 2 more guards. Most of the recent intel from the volunteers told us that there were 17 girls in all, and approximate age 9 to 13, with 2 more that were sick and going to be sold to the doctor. We would wait until all were in place with the spotters. Then the ones who would be our shadow blockers, and then our team would enter the brothel. When we go, the team would pull up in 5 transports, blocking vision from the street. We would have 2 on the roof that would enter from the alley, climb up onto the roof to spot and be ready for any action. Once we take out the front guards, the second group would see if any neighbors would get involved or not. At the same time, the third group would be moving into the brothel from 2 directions inside and take the remaining guards. Then in the third group, there would be 3 female teammates to gather the girls and locate the sick ones. We do not expect the 2 to be sick we expect the 2 to be sick and probably very weak. One of our female teammates is also is a local, so she can communicate with them. The girls would not be a problem due to their condition. All the girls would come out and enter into the transports and go to the safe houses. We would have 3 safe houses ready, but most likely use 2. We had no access to the medical person, but 2 of the teammates arriving are medical, and they would just divert to the safe houses rather than us waiting on them to arrive at the rescue. We were now deployed and had a visual through Viber, and all was as I was expecting. The traffic was thick, and that would be to our advantage. We were making last checks with a transport fitting the description of the makeshift ambulance. Description of the makeshift ambulance was coming down the street. We held up to see if it was we expected to pick up the 2 girls at the brothel. We waited. It was the van to pick up the sick girls. So I gave the go, and all knew what to do. Our transports moved in, blocking the van and the front of the brothel. The van caused a distraction with the guards, and none of them had a clue we had arrived. The drivers of the van were taken inside with the guards as they entered. The team inside had already disabled and put to sleep the inside guards. They were stripped of the clothes and guns and duct tape together while the girls were taken to the transports and newly liberated van. We made it out of town unnoticed, but the girls were so weak we had no shadows, so we made a decision to use one safe house. The other medical teammate made his way to the other safe house, and we were clear. Now we waited to see if the 2 sick girls were able to be saved. The team made many calls for advice and finally got the answer we wanted. We would have the correct medical supplies to save the sick ones, thanks to our donors. After a few hours, they were stable enough to travel. I feel like I need to explain a little more about this for people new to the channel. The brothels feed them very, very little, just enough to keep them alive and maintain them being weak. That way they're not resistance to the things that's going to happen to them. They also beat them and harm the kids to keep them in line, so to speak. You can read behind the words. So when they get sick, they do not treat them because that would cost money and to make them useless as to profit. The medicine costs more than the profit of the sales. When you figure $6 an hour with the girl, I think I wrote that wrong. It costs $6 for someone to buy one of the girls for an hour. So when you start adding that up and the cost of the medicine, it wouldn't be profitable. So just think about that. I don't really need to spell it out for you. They can get these girls at will. So anyway, all the girls were very weak, not healthy, and they would need medical care for some time. After we knew we could transport them to where they would begin a new life, we moved out. The place we were taking them to they would be more than able to treat the girls. Normally this would be a problem, but we and the little girls were so lucky. They would be going to one of our living angels. So in this rescue, we ended up getting 19 girls. Previously there was 2,110 so far rescued, and now we have a new total of 2,129. So that happened, and then it was really interesting what was to take place next. There was something about this series of rescues that just you can't figure it out, right? And it was all positive towards us. So we kind of went with it, and you can kind of think about what you think happened here. But so anyway, here we go. The next rescue. Yep, that's what happened, is what I'm telling you here. Just a day after the last rescue, one of our volunteers was in a store, kind of like a 7-Eleven. They're different over there. They do have 7-Elevens, but this one was not a 7-Eleven, but similar to it. While she was in there, a couple of mini trucks rolled up. It caught her attention because of the tarps, and she said, or she had a feeling. The man came in. The man that came in as she said, yucky and smelled. He cut in front of the line and to ask the cashier directions to a place that we had just raided. The volunteer went outside, walked by the trucks, and could see through a break in the canvas. She could see children, little girls. Then she called the commander and contacted me. We already had several teammates still hanging out, so we decided to check it out. Meanwhile, the truck stayed parked while the drivers went across the street to eat, leaving the kids in the trucks alone. The team gathered and took off. 2 each on 2 bikes, with 4 single bikes following. They would update while on the move. The volunteer waited and watched, and was soon joined by her friend, who was also a volunteer. As the team grew closer, the men with the trucks and their cargo got on the move again. I arranged the safe house that was still available and activated it. We believed that the kids were new replacements for the brothel we had just raided. The teammates arrived and met with the volunteers just after the trucks left, and we knew where they were going, and they pursued. They had about 5 miles. They had about 5 miles in the city central to catch up to them. Then a mile later, they pulled in behind the trucks. The commander advised me, and we gave the go, and they knew what to do. The teammates were in mode to move to the side of the truck. The teammate on the back of the bike, we had 2 bikes with 2 people on it, on each one. And what they did was they pulled up next to the truck, grabbed the door, and removed the driver. Both of the twin bikes would position themselves next to the trucks and would take the rear one first. Then seconds later, they took the first. Both executed the move perfectly. With the drivers rolling onto the street, the second truck teammate taking control almost ran over the one falling out of the truck, but luckily missed him. Sort of luckily, right? So now we were in control and on the way to the safe house with the other teammates watching for any unwanted visitors. We had a place that was newly liberated. Trucks and cargo could stop outside of town to check on our passengers. The commander was making those arrangements at this time. All was arranged, and we could breathe now. At the safety stop, there would be 3 volunteers and 1 nun we work with in this area, and they were on their way to the stop. The trucks got there before all the volunteers, but the drivers did their best to calm the girls. But as of yet, the stop had no female teammates there. After about 10 minutes, the nun arrived, and right after came the volunteers. So we had been stopped for around 20 minutes and needed to move on. We had to do this to make sure the girls were aware that we were the good guys. If you don't know about this, what happens is that there are individuals that will go collect kids and then bring them back and sell them to the brothel, sort of middlemen. So they really didn't have any favors due to them. Not like once we rescue girls from inside a brothel, then we have to be concerned about other people that work for the establishment, whether it be police or city officials or someone else, that private individuals that are running these brothels. Where in this case, it's almost 100%. It's just the one guy or 2 guys that grab these girls and then take them to sell them to the brothels. So anyway, the girls had been chained together and put to the floor of the trucks. The owner of the home we went to had tools to correct that problem. We had no time to feed them or anything else, but the kids knew they were finally going to be safe. I think removing the chains was when they really knew. So when we were on the move again, it was about an hour later when we reached the safe house. The girls had not worked before, so this was a good thing. We got them before the real abuse began. All had been sold by their parents for between $6 and $25. Some were traded for a loan because they knew, they'd never be able to pay it back. And so these parents and relatives usually have done this before because they get more money than to take a straight sale. If they just get a loan instead, they'll get more money. Oh yeah, the number was 17 kids. Now bathed and fed. They were all in good shape, except for some cuts from the chains, and they were on their way to a destination and a new life. So previously we had 29 rescued. That's 2,129. We rescued 17 of them, and on this one. So that brings our total to 2,146. And, I just got to say, when we do this, and when we first set out, it was all about saving one kid. Anything that comes after that, it's just gravy, right? And you imagine one little child, just find a little kid, 6 years old, 7, 8 years old, and imagine them having to go through something like this. And actually, seeing up to like 20 customers a day, and then being beaten and chained. And it's totally a mind screw, right? To the kid, they don't understand. That's why we have 100% retention rate. And the reason that the other ones don't is they don't understand. They're not part of it. Rather than, they're trying to do a good thing, but they don't know. They really don't know things. And like therapists, a professionally trained therapist won't have a clue. This doesn't fit anything, because what will happen in most of these places is that the kid, no matter how well they're being treated, they need what they came from. They feel comfortable. As hard as that is to believe, they feel comfortable in that environment because they have a purpose, is the only way I can explain it. And so they'll leave and escape from the rescued place to go back to the brothel. And that's why also the way we do things once we have the kids, the process that they go through. That's why we have 100%, because they're treated by other people or other women who have went through the same process, and they know how to speak to them. They know how to get them to understand what they're witnessing. And then without any effort, the experiences that start to take place is the best they've ever had in their life. Getting friends, having a real purpose. They give them little jobs to do, in a sense. They keep them busy. They go to school, and most of them get uniforms, and it's one uniform. It's all we can afford, and they're so proud of that. And there's a lot of drama when someone gets spilled or rips their uniform. But anyway, I just wanted to add that in there. So anyway, at this point we were at 2146, and then another miracle happened. That's the only way I can describe this. It's just, everyone's a miracle, but at the same time, what happened in this, where we get Juan, that was the only intention, was the Juan. And then boom, Juan just fell into our laps. And then, we were sitting there and just kind of talking about just back and forth, and we were going, we got these guys, and one of our places that we take the kids said, hey, we got some room here, if you got any more, we could take them in for you. And to me, you get in this world where the team, yeah, we have this idea, and yeah, we have one purpose, and it's our mission in life is to do this. And it's not for reward and not for anything else. It's just because we feel, you really can't describe it to anybody who isn't experiencing it or has experienced it, but it's not like a job. It's almost like breathing and eating. It's something we have to do, and we're limited so severely, because of funds and stuff, which is a really sad thing. But at the same time, it works, right? And over 2,000 kids since 2015. How is it that we can do this and nobody else can? I just, and I try to help these other charities, and they get scared to death because they're afraid I'm going to take their paychecks from them or something, that donors will go to us instead of them. Well, it's not about that. It's about saving these kids. And I hope maybe one of them is listening. I'm no threat to you. So anyway, let me go on here. While we were sitting around and, we just finished up the last 2 rescues, then it occurred to us that since the neighboring country was starting to open up again, that there might be a surge of new products, children, to refill the brothels. We had 2 teammates and several volunteers already at one of the busiest crossings. So I had the commander check out what was going on there. It was not long, and from a local restaurant, he noticed several transports crossing with what looked like would be our targets. He said he would get back to me. He called all of our friends in the area and asked them to do some eyes on it and get back to us. So if you're not familiar with crossing borders in these countries, a lot of the places you have what's called a visa run, and so they have to, like if they're in one country and let's say they're in Thailand or something, and so they'll cross the border to have their visa stamped so that they can return for another 6 months or a year or whatever. But they actually have to leave the country and then they can come right back. As long as they've left the country, they can renew their visa. So anyway, that's just one example. So what happens is at these borders, there's all kinds of things, all kinds of stuff going on with restaurants and hotels and, tourist shops, all kinds of business, in other words, at these borders. So anyway, then a short time later, the commander reported back and advised that they had confirmed 3 transports so far. We had about 30 teammates available, so we called for a meeting of those in the area. In about an hour, we had a plan with 23 of the teammates were going to be available. We arranged some safe houses to take the kids from, and with the final destination already set, we were ready to head out to the border with plenty of routes to the safe houses already in our book. And then 3 hours later, we had a team, spotters, shadow chasers, and the standby team in ready if needed. 17 teammates would be on bikes and in communication with group leaders. Each of our little groups, we had to have a leader so that they could communicate, so we don't have everything going on at once, as you probably understand anyway. But so once a target was located, the group leaders would advise the teammates of the situation and then make a plan. We had 4 transports in the area, and they would be called in as needed. It wasn't long before we had a hit from 2 of our volunteers who had eyes on a truck with 7 girls inside. 17 would be an overload, so there's 7 girls on the inside. The team leader in the area responded with a team of 5 and found the trafficker. They followed the target and waited for an opportunity, and it did not take long. There was some heavy traffic as our 5 teammates approached to park their bikes a little bit ahead of the truck load of girls and walked towards the truck. This was brilliant because the traffic had just gotten so thick, and it gave this the perfect opportunity. So then the other 3 mates stayed close. The 2 went to the truck. 1 entered on each side and had the driver at gunpoint. We took the driver to a side street and dumped him out. We made sure that he was in enough distance where they wouldn't be able to cause us any trouble. So they then made their way with the team following close. The route was determined and spotters notified that no shadows had continued, and so we continued to the safe house where all the girls were released from the restraints. None was there waiting to inform them of what was happening, and told them what was to come. Then we waited until we acquired more girls. Team 2 had 4 teammates, and they had noticed that one of the suspected trucks parked after entering the border. This is normal, as I was saying before, crossing the border to stop and get food and other things with all the shops located there. Excuse me. 2 of the team approached the driver in the store. They took him outside around the corner, and for $200 was convinced to give us the keys, and that they and then relayed to the other teammates. One drove and the other followed. The 2 with the driver hung out with him and took him for a walk to prevent him from notifying anyone. The teammates took the girls to the same safe house with no shadows and joined the others. Once we knew the cargo was clear, the driver was released and strongly advised to find a new job. At the border, the last team was just hanging out around the stores for 5 hours when they came across another truck that fitted what we were looking for. The team followed this truck for 20 minutes, and we were getting worried that he would soon get to his drop-off site. If this happened, everything would change on how we could do the rescue with the girls. So the team leader made the decision to stop the truck. There was not much traffic and no intersections where the truck might slow down or stop. So the team surrounded the truck on their bikes, slowed it down, and 2 other teammates went to the sides of the truck doors and motioned for him to stop. With the team in front and back, he complied. He was informed that we were taking his cargo, and then they would take him out of town to the opposite side of the city and release him about 5 miles out of town. Then we found a route to get to a different safe house, and with no shadows, we arrived safely. The first capture yielded 7 girls, the second 9, and the third 11. All were newly taken and being transported to brothels in the area. We were not able to confirm the deliveries that were, if they were from gang related or if it was unknown. Likely they were going to other organizations such as police, businessmen, politicians, such. Knowing the restrictions were ending and the travelers were returning, we were really happy to be able to quickly get these girls to safety before they could be abused. 27 girls were rescued in less than a day, ages 9 to 13, and they were on their way to a new life. We spent more money than we had, but I covered the rest. Thanks to all of you who donate and pray and spread the word and do what you do. So in this one, previous total was 2146. We got 27 out of this one. So with a new total of 2173, that's 2,173 little kids, as I mentioned before, that have a new life. And, you know, it's just amazing. I just can't believe that many lives have come from just something so simple, right? Just, you got to take action, right? I mean, it's something in your life, really, you know? So anyway, thanks all of you again. And share this a little bit, you know, let people know, because awareness is one of the biggest things we need, and here and there. So anyway, thank you all. ZaysanZaysan out.